CashColorCannabis, a high level of conversation on LivehiphopDaily.tv. I got my special guest in the building, Shay Lawson. Shay, hey, how you doing? Hey, Shay. Shay is somebody I've gotten a chance to get to know, definitely through the Atlanta just music scene initially. But, you know, I get a chance to personally not kind of know you thanks to Chinara Butler now.
I know. I mean, I was at your wedding.
Yeah, baby.
It was lit.
It was lit. Tell them that was the best day party ever.
Was. Like, people are going to start doing that now. People are going to try and start doing brunch weddings, but it's going to be trash. It's going to be trash because it was really like the people. Like, you know, the dopest collection of like people. Man, that was so fun.
That was lit, man. And shout out to my man DJ Bentley. Me and Bentley put together a really dope playlist.
Yeah.
That like my sister said, showed my age. I was like, I don't give a damn, man. We about to boogie.
Everybody had a ball.
Yeah. But thank you very much. Yeah, I've got a chance to really get to personally know you, but everybody else doesn't. So one of the questions I start off with all the time is, who are you? Who is Shay Lawson?
Man, Shay is dope. Shay
is kind of dope.
Shay is black. Shay, I'm a runner. I'm a lawyer. I'm a coffee lover. I'm from Cleveland. Shout out to the Cavs.
Oh, wait. I didn't, yo.
Yes. We're taking over the South on the low.
Who? Cleveland?
Cleveland. Yeah, there's literally a Cleveland in Atlanta meetup that has like 400 or 500 some people.
I was about to say 4 or 5 people, or you said 400 or 500?
100, yeah.
Right, that's a lot of folk, boy. Cleveland.
Shut up. Yeah, Cleveland Avenue.
Cleveland Avenue. Yeah, right there with the Cleveland Ave. Yeah, oh, perfect. I thought Lou was saying he couldn't come. All right, shout out to my man Groovy Lou. He gonna pull up on us. But so at one, I didn't know you was from Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm from Cleveland.
That's what's Cleveland rocks, I guess.
Yeah, I try to keep it on the low because there's like so many stereotypes about women from Cleveland. Like,
are there really stereotypes about women from Cleveland?
As soon as I'm like, y'all from Cleveland, they're like, yo, chicks from Cleveland are crazy. Like, it's
man,
like,
do say that about every city.
Chicks from Cleveland are crazy.
Every city.
Slice my tires. I'm like, bitch, I'm right. Like, I don't know. No, I'm kidding. But yeah.
I'd have been like anything I think about Cleveland. My first thought is always Bone Thugs and Harmony.
People used to do that, so it used to be like, oh, you're from Cleveland, boom, 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 boom. And then, like, you know, now since the LeBron eras have started, like, especially like when LeBron left the first time, I just had to flat out let it be known, like, you know, if you're from, first of all, he's from Akron, he's not from Cleveland.
Oh, well, you better, but you understand this. You understand this though.
Yeah, and so like I had to tell people like, yo, it's not a joke. Like, things will go downhill fast if you walk up on me about something LeBron related. Like, people in Cleveland, there is like, God forgives, Cleveland doesn't.
Wait,
like,
are you a fan of LeBron or?
I respect him as a man. I respect him as a player. I'm not personally a fan. Like, I don't own any LeBron gear.
Is it because he left, or was Cleveland really that taken back when that man said, "I'm gonna take my skills somewhere"?
Yeah, because it was bigger than basketball. I think from like a professional standpoint, everybody understands leaving to go somewhere where you'll be promoted or where you will win. But if you are from Cleveland, you know, can I curse?
Oh, we do it all the time.
Like, there's not shit in Cleveland. Like, literally, that is not an understatement. Like, Cleveland, Detroit, Flint, like, we all the same place. Yeah. And so it was not fair, but the truth is LeBron really had the city on his back, and not from a sports standpoint, but like hundreds of people lost jobs when he left. That had an economic impact. Wasn't nobody coming to Cleveland before LeBron started playing basketball. Wasn't no clubs open, wasn't no restaurants, hotels. So you got to think like, it wasn't fair, but when he left town, all of it closed, all of it. So yeah, Cleveland gonna be mad because he was feeding everybody. So no, it wasn't fair, but that's the truth. And so that was really, I don't think people outside of Cleveland understood that, and they felt like Clevelanders were being petty about him leaving, and that was really kind of the heart of it. It was economics. It wasn't just sports, even though we're fanatical, you know.
I respect his move even more now that he did that, because one, Dan Gilbert, we're gonna get to your interview in a minute. Yeah. Dan Gilbert really, oh man, you talk about somebody who's borderline. Like, I don't like using the term owner, so like I don't like using the term boss where I work at. But he's really an owner. You know what I mean? And and I could tell that Bron caught that early, and I like the fact that he flexed on him and showed his own power, that you cannot hold me in a place where I know my value is more important than what you can give me. You know what I'm saying? I think that's
it wasn't about the money. I also think LeBron is a true athlete. Whether you like this man or not, whether you're a fan or not, you can't take away from him that he is a true athlete. And at the point that they didn't bring a team around him for him, and he gave them every opportunity. I'll tell you, when we passed on the trade for Amari Stoudemire, when Amari Stoudemire didn't come to the team, I was like, oh, LeBron's gone. I already knew he was going to leave.
They got him old Shaq. He had old Shaq at one point.
Yeah, that was what we did. So I was like, I already knew we was out. Like at one point, we had like Larry Hughes, we had Booby, we had like, you know what I mean. So this
really happened.
Single-handedly, what's his name? Oh my gosh, who used to be married to Eva Longoria. There we go. Tony Parker single-handedly killed us that year in the finals. Alone. Tony Parker killed us alone in the finals. So, you know what I mean? Like,
we're talking sports. We're talking sports. This is what happens when you get to a higher level of conversation. My guests smoke and they like a wide conversation.
Yes.
They like a wide conversation.
I love sports. I'm definitely from Cleveland. My dad's from Alabama, so I'm a University of Alabama Roll Tide.
Yeah, what part of Alabama?
He's from a small town outside of Mobile called Grand Bay.
Stay blurred. My mom's from a small town outside of Selma called Camden.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the other thing. The running joke in Cleveland is that everybody's parents are from Alabama. The good migration post slavery.
All right, well, let's talk about you. I know that you're a great lawyer. I know that you've done a lot of work out here. But speak to us about how you found yourself into law. Like, what made you? Were you a little negotiator as a child, or
no
working on little contracts in kindergarten?
No, I mean, I've always really, I'm really goofy. I'm really clumsy. So I knew sports and things were not my strong suit.
Really?
Yeah. My brother and my cousins are all very musically gifted. Like my brother sings. So does my cousin. And I have multiple cousins that produce, write, like everything. And I don't even have rhythm. So I just knew that wasn't my ministry. But I've always enjoyed reading, always been into books. I actually wanted to be a lawyer after I saw Clueless. Clueless is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yep.
Okay, Clueless inspired that.
Yeah, and Cher, first of all, they were living the life I wanted to live, and somebody asked her, I think when Ty goes to Cher's house for the first time, she's like, how can you afford this? And she said, my daddy's a litigator. And I was like, boop, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. So
I used to want to be a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Why you didn't come home?
Why didn't I come home? That is hilarious.
Get the student loan debt.
Yeah, exactly. That part. And the thing that used to make me want to be a lawyer was I'd watch, like, say, like, LA Laws and stuff like that. Like, I would have seen that. And they used to make it look kind of glorious, you know what I'm saying? And that's not what it is.
No, it's not.
No, that's not what it is at all. Like,
no,
so
there's like some crazy statistic that there's like less than 2% of attorneys are trial attorneys. Less than, like 70% of cases go to trial. Like a trial is a last resort. That's not happening in real life.
Yeah. I used to work for somebody who she actually does marketing for lawyers. And she actually predicts, or she feels like at some point you're going to have to stop teaching law. Like, we have so many lawyers that really, I don't know if you really need law school. Do you agree with that?
Wow. No, I kind of disagree because law school doesn't really teach you the law. You can pull up the law anywhere. Law school teaches you how to think like a lawyer. Yeah, it teaches you. It changed my entire perspective. So people tell you, or people guess all the time if you're a lawyer, oh, you like to argue. And it's actually, no, lawyers are probably the least likely to get in an argument with you. Why would I waste my breath, my time?
Sure.
I
get paid for that.
yeah, like I get paid to, I'm not going to argue with you for free.
Yeah.
But I think it changes your perspective on thinking, your level of attention to detail. It literally teaches you a method that I've never found anywhere else. It's very unique, and I can even tell the difference between my particular. I went to Case Western Reserve University School of Law, and we.
Wait, Case is that Pennsylvania? Excuse me.
No, it's Cleveland.
Oh,
CLE, Cleveland 216.
Excuse me, Cleveland.
And
Cleveland.
But it's very practical learning. They force you to do real life things while you are still in school. So like something they'll do is they'll bring a regular person in who got some real fucked up shit going on in their life. They'll come and explain it to you as a law student, and your test is for you to break down all the legal issues this person is potentially facing.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something.
That's what law school would be needed for.
Yeah, so that's what I can do. Like, when I talk to artists or I talk to different people, I think that that's something that makes me great at what I do as far as contracts, because I can take your scenarios of the terrible things that have happened to you. I can think about how your business runs, and now I know all the clauses that need to be in your contract. I need to know all the details that need to be in your contract. Like, my mind just starts running in a million directions, even though we might be talking about something that's real regular.
Yeah. Now, your primary focus is entertainment law, correct? Mm-hmm. All right, and through entertainment law, I know that's how you ended up obviously working with Chinara. You know what I'm saying? She has a lot of stuff going on with Pimp C and a lot of stuff going on in them other areas. But I do know that she delved out into a whole nother space, which is cannabis.
Yes.
She has Sweet James Jones barbecue sauce. She got Pimp THC. She's really trying to do her thing with this. I love Chinara. She's gung-ho about this shit.
Yeah, she's dope.
What have you learned? Well, one, helping her has been a transition for you and yourself because it wasn't entertainment industry stuff. It was a whole new level of jargon, I'm assuming, a whole new level of just shit to learn. But also, I'm pretty sure you learned a lot about the cannabis industry. Talk to us about, just having to work with her on those type of projects. And what did you actually take away from the cannabis industry? What did you learn from it?
I learned that I didn't know anything about it, and I think that's a strong suit in itself. And I'll tell anybody that from a legal perspective, if you have a lawyer that's willing to do everything, you don't need to be working with that lawyer. You need a lawyer who will upfront say, I don't do this, I don't do that. You need to get a lawyer who specializes, especially when you're talking about the cannabis industry, just like you talked about earlier, like, there's a difference between like your THC, your CBD, like, you know what I mean, X, Y, and Z. And like in Georgia, all of that means different things. In various states, all of those mean different things. And you need a lawyer who's really adept at cannabis law. And I mean, that's actually like a hot topic in the legal industry. Like, as a lawyer, I get emails every day about classes on like the basics of the cannabis industry. So it's a big thing that I think a lot more attorneys are gonna, move into moving forward. But I think, that was number one, that I did not realize that there were so many layers. I did not realize that there were, that the government views everything completely different when you're talking about an oil versus whether you're actually talking, talking about the leaves, whether you're talking about recreational, medicinal, like X, Y, and Z, like understanding the layers of regulation that are now being placed was very unique for me, but still, when we talk about entertainment, I'm mostly doing intellectual property. And so when you talk about different strands of marijuana, that's an intellectual property in itself. When you talk about what you're naming something, that's something that you want to get trademarked. You know, you don't want everybody running around saying they have, I don't know, that Mecca strain, and it's not really that, That's
that boogie. You ain't smoking that Mecca.
Yeah. And so, there are methods and processes. So when you have a method and a process to something specific that you do, that's a patent. Yeah. So, people don't realize all the different layers of intellectual property that overlap onto any industry, including the cannabis industry.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. And even as you're breaking that down, I'm thinking to myself, there's so many different things that even I should pay attention to as a business person. What kind of advice? I mean, I know, again, you deal with primarily artists, but when it comes to dealing, like you say, with intellectual property, it's all the same, really. Like, you still need to protect your name, you just need to protect your work. What is some of the advice you would give to a business person or an artist when it comes to that? Like, some of the stuff they probably are missing. Like, what is important for them to pay attention to when it comes to intellectual property?
I would say not just intellectual property. I would say doing business, period. You want to make sure that you're covered, especially if you're entering into some kind of like partnership agreement with somebody. Yeah. You want to make sure just like you said when you open the show, if it's enough money to get mad about, you want to make sure that it's in writing. Yeah, man. You and somebody can have a million conversations, but when it comes down to money being made, people have funny memories about what conversations were actually had. So you wonder who should cover what cost. Yeah. You also want to talk about liability when you're talking about the cannabis industry and regulation and what you should and should not do. Who's going to be responsible for that if you're doing something somewhere you should not be and you get caught up? Who will be responsible for making sure that your manufacturing is up to the standards if you're making something that's consumable? Yeah. So you always want to make sure that how you get paid is in writing. B, that your butt is protected against, your worst case scenario. And then I would say, C, the last thing is always make sure there's a way to get out. I think that's something that people always overlook, that they get into business, people are really excited, but they have no idea how they can get out when the business gets bad or when they're really ready to move on to the next thing. I've had people involved in business, whether it was artists or, anything, where it was successful, but they were just ready to move on to the next thing, where they're like, you know what, y'all can have the business. because I'm about to go do X, Y, and Z. How do I get out and retain my value or X, Y, and Z? So I would say the last thing is, whether for good or bad, you want to make sure you have a way to get out.
I need you to be my lawyer. Like I've said that several times.
You say it all the time.
I said that several times to you already, but I'm so close to making this happen because one, I need an attorney. You know what I'm saying? I'm very well aware of where we're growing with CashColorCannabis and everything around us. That I'm gonna need somebody like yourself, and I just like you. You know what I'm saying? And I've been around a lot of lawyers that I don't personally like. I just like you. I like how straightforward you are. You're gonna eventually be the CashColorCannabis official attorney.
All right,
like,
you see that? This is video evidence.
Yeah, true. I'm putting that out there, man. One of the other things we know you do was, and I remember your run actually.
Yes.
You part of the Grammy family, like really part of the Grammy family. Like, speak to us about your position. Speak to us about your position with the Grammys, man, and also speak to us about your campaign because that was kind of awesome.
That was really great. I sit on the board of the Atlanta chapter of the Recording Academy. I'm going into my second year as a governor. June will make the second year as a governor on the board.
Boss.
And it's been a really phenomenal experience for me, just diving into, I think, just the behind the scenes. So each individual chapter and the board is really the liaison between your actual city and your creative community as far as musicians and just everybody involved in the music industry, and the larger national board and bridging those gaps. And it's been really great. And then as a governor on the board, I was able to be captain for our district advocacy day, meeting with Congressman John Lewis and pushing for legislation for songwriters. Yeah. And then I just did Grammys on the Hill in April. And it was maybe about 60 people total from across the country, and we went and met with our members of Congress because the House was about to vote on the Music Modernization Act, which they did.
What's the Music Moderation Act? Excuse me, tongue tie. What is that?
The Music Modernization Act is a comprehensive act that helps protect songwriters, producers, and engineers, and then also increases the copyright rate. So what a lot of people don't know is that rates like that are set by the government. They were set eons and eons ago, and they do not match market rates. And so it's literally the Music Modernization Act of getting all of the entities that are involved in the music industry to help come up with the actual market rate that would make sure that when I'm writing a song, I don't need to have a night job at a factory. I don't need to that I can literally make a living by making music. And it's not just artists, which I think a lot of people get caught up on. It's all the people who make music possible, from engineers, producers, songwriters. And so even now I post a lot about collecting digital royalties because most people, are streaming their music or whatever. Well, in order for producers and engineers to get their digital royalties from doing something with an artist on Sound Exchange, the artists themselves actually have to send a letter of direction to Sound Exchange to pay a percentage to the producers and the engineers. Well, this particular act, if signed into law, will automatically give them a portion of those royalties without the artists themselves having to sign that letter of direction. So it's literally just bringing just the laws and regulations related to the music industry up to speed with the world that we're in right now, so that people can literally make a living making music, because it's really hard right now.
It's crazy when you speak about digital. So much of stuff is digital nowadays. You know what I mean? From where you got your Spotifys, your YouTubes, your titles, and all three of those pay out differently. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's one thing, especially for a songwriter or a producer, you need to be on top of all that as well. You know what I mean? That you need to understand, one, how the different payouts work, and maybe, you know what I'm saying? And like you say, I'm really trying to figure all this out myself, because watching this is so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, to know, again, from Apple to Tidal to Spotify to YouTube, you can have 1 million views on one of these and really not make anything.
Yeah, I think Nipsey Hussle posted that graphic about the difference between what you make with everything. I think that's where having your background team in place really comes into play. Yeah. And so when people talk about royalties, your publisher, really the person who is your administrator, and your publisher and your administrator are not always the same person.
Why are you're saying stuff to people who I'm pretty sure think they're really big artists who have none of this going on? Like, not one bit of this going on. They're like, administrator. Who's that?
And so people are signing pub deals to like their man's in them, and it's like, no, like you're like the person who is the person who is administering your royalties needs to understand all of those contexts, where you're getting your sound exchange, going to Harry Fox, getting your BMI, getting your ASCAP, understanding where all of your foreign royalties, your international royalties, like.
You know how much money get lost overseas?
Thank you. And so you want to make sure the person who is doing your administration of your publishing understands that, and your homeboy who maybe gave you some upfront money isn't going to know how to collect your back end stuff. So that's a point where you really do want to sign up with somebody who knows what's best.
See, and this is why I would need you, because I'll be honest with you on the air. I've told people I've actually come in contact with two people who wanted to invest in CashColorCannabis overall, like the experience that we're creating here. And I wasn't comfortable with the first group of people, and I'm glad it didn't happen. Second person I'm definitely comfortable with. It just hasn't had a chance to go through yet. But one thing I didn't want to do was enter any of these situations without a firm attorney on my side, because what I'm never going to do is give up. Like the same thing with the color green. I'm not giving up ownership of something that I feel like is very important and putting it in the hands of somebody who doesn't fully get why it's important. You know what I mean? And I think it's something I watch artists do every day. It's something I'm watching now businesses do, especially in cannabis, that I watch people give up full ownership of their vision so early. You know what I mean? It's just, again, you got to applaud people for taking a check, but at the same time, pace yourself and make sure you get, like my mom always say, proper legal representation to give you some real advice.
Just so that you can see what's there and what's not there. I actually just recently reviewed a contract for somebody who was being presented with what seemed like a very, very good opportunity with somebody who is basically like industry royalty. And so I'm reviewing this contract, with this client, and I'm like, whoa, well, if you look on page 14, this one word in this one paragraph means this person owns everything you had prior to this and after. One word. That part. Like 13 pages in. And he's like, man, I'm so glad I hired you. So I tell people all the time, don't be cheap. Spend the money on me on the front end, because it's going to be way more expensive for me to try and save you on the back end when shit goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yo, you right. Because, again, my own being naive was just anxious to get this bread. But as time went on, weeks went on, I'm looking like the closest this goes, bro. If you give this up now, like you've worked so hard to keep all this together for so long, if you give it up right now, you wake up in the next morning and it's not yours, you gonna feel
what is it on your McDonald's, the founder?
Oh, you wake up the next morning like, this ain't mine, bro.
You'll know how many people have hired me after watching The Founder. If you haven't watched The Founder on Netflix,
people fully understand. It costs money to run everything, like CashColorCannabis, Color Greens, Urban Growth. All this shit costs money. It costs money even to license your name. You know what I'm saying? All this costs bread to do. So again, I'm really blessed that I didn't jump at both of them and just kind of run with some shit rather than saying, let me pace myself. I work a job. I don't need your bread. You know what I'm saying? Right this second.
And I think that's the thing too, like from your industry, when there's a lot of interest, just like I said, like now there's a lot of, this is the new hot thing, right? And you want to make sure that at no point you lose managerial control. So somebody can come in and absolutely have an economic interest. You can always have an economic interest. You cut me this check, you can get 20% of whatever I make. But you are not going to control, you're not going to have a managerial interest in my business. And that's something that you want to have, in writing. Or even if you have, let's just say you split your business. It's me, you and a third person. Well, if I sell, if this person sells and I sell to other people, you want to make sure that two random people you don't know aren't now having the majority ownership of your company. You want to make sure that in the event that your partners sell, all managerial interest goes to you, or that the person only gets economic interest. And the same thing, and just putting it out there, worst case scenario, when people go to jail. I do this now all the time in my contracts with people who do business, where I talk about, because it's just so likely you might go to jail, you might get shot. Like, we are black, we're black in America. It is what it is.
You wake up and some news happened, and now you got to juggle.
And so now you have to figure out, and you need to plan for, if you are doing business with somebody, what should happen should one of my partners now become unavailable. because you are incarcerated, because you have been killed. Now what happens? Does your family get to say so? Do your kids get to say so? Does your manager get to? Who? So you want to plan for all those things.
And the sad part is, this is where a lot of, Kelby's downstairs apparently. Can somebody go get Kelby? One thing that really, and it's crazy you even said the part about keeping your managerial position. One of the investors actually spoke to me and put me on some real game. He was like, dog, whatever you do, whether it's with me or the other people, make sure you keep a super majority. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you keep a super majority ownership of what's going on so that you don't get caught in a position like you was talking about. But when we start talking legalities, we start talking contracts, I feel like that's something that people of color shy away from. And I feel like that's one thing that really stops us from really flourishing business-wise on a lot of levels. That you start putting out them paperwork, people get nervous. And I'm like, well, I'm not really. I'm trying to protect both of us. I'm not trying to
people say that all the time where they be like, man, I ain't want to mess up the vibe. You know, I ain't want to bring out paperwork. I ain't want to mess up the vibe. And it's like, but you didn't. I don't get it personally, and I always tell people, you know what, that's fine, because you might be, y'all might be in a session, it is what it is, but I need you to double back ASAP, and you could even have like a fake third layer between people and be like, yo, I want us to handle business and make sure everything's straight, so I got a third person who's going to sit with both of us, because maybe somebody feel like you high in your hands if you just show up with paperwork.
Like immediately.
Yo, will you meet with the both? And I'm always willing to meet with like everybody, who's doing business, where it's like, yo, we can all actually just sit at the table and do it all at once, so everybody knows, nobody's hiding their hands here. Let's just make sure that everybody's, protected here. And I will say this, because this goes to what you were talking about as far as the media. And people giving stories to mainstream outlets and not to, the very people who are here. The same thing happens with like legal work and business. It's almost like people in the industry wear it on their chest to say, I got a Jewish lawyer. I got a Jewish lawyer. Yeah. They wear it as a badge of honor. That means you made it. I made it when I got you.
We rap about that. Like, how many times you listen to rap lyrics and they brag about their Jewish
lawyers?
Yeah.
They'll eat the case. And so it's just like, we won't give each other the business. And that's something that I love about working with Chinara, is that she is another Black woman. She is an entrepreneur. I am helping, to preserve the legacy of a rap legend, you know, and so that's something that somebody from another culture is not going to understand and is not going to appreciate. And I think that was something when you talk about entrepreneurship and going into different, avenues, like Chinara's going in with Pimp THC and the Sweet James Jones. Like, a lot of people don't realize that Combat Jack was a lawyer.
Yeah, I did. I love that. I love Reggie.
Like, he was an attorney, and one of his original partners, Ed Woods, they passed in like days of each other.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, they were the two attorneys that made it okay to walk into a meeting dressed like who you was still handle business. And then, like they worked with, Hove and Diddy's hitmen, and you have to think that
Kanye?
Yeah, like Jay-Z was the first person to not be a brand ambassador but own his first brand. He was there before, Sean John. They literally, and it takes another Black man to believe that a Black man can own a brand and it be successful. That Jewish lawyer gonna tell him something different. Somebody who's not from your culture cannot understand your value and what you bring to the culture the way that I can.
I believe you. You know what I mean? Well, I believe you. I live it. You know what I'm saying? I
they
live
do it to us all the time.
I live it. I live it, man. So, also, you're a runner, too. I know.
I am.
Yeah. Atlanta, what is it?
Movers and Pacers.
Movers and Pacers. I be seeing DJ Knots out there just huffing and puffing. Out of shape ass.
Shout out Knots. Hip Hop Gives Back.
Out of shape ass. How'd you get into that? Like, you look like you could run. Like, what's your 40 time?
I don't know. I'm not a sprinter. I'm definitely a distance runner.
I was gonna say, I think I could race you.
Because it's a mental game. Racing, running is mental. You're mentally defeated before your body gives out. So I'm gonna always get you. I'm gonna silently come up behind and pat you on the back like, you good?
Let's do this. What's your money like right now? Bet me right now that I can beat her in a race in a 40-yard dash. Like, we can go outside right now, walk a street.
And nobody wants to look. It was
nobody wants to play with this because I'm out. I'm out.
It was crickets.
I'm out. I'll take that bet any day, man. I think me and Shay in a race for charity. Me and Shay in a race for charity.
You know who got me into running as an adult is Noriega. A lot of people don't realize that.
Noriega, like Capone Noriega.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did he get you in a run? Wait. Okay. This is. Yo. When they talk about virable moments, this is a virable moment. Like, so how did Nori get you into running?
Okay, so this is in the beginning of Twitter. Noriega was one of the first like people on Twitter. I was one of the first people on Twitter. So there was like a little gaggle of us or whatever. And so Nori used to have these run challenges, and this was back when Nike had the little chip that used to fit in your shoe. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so
Illuminati stuff.
yeah, they had a chip that you put into your insole, and it fed into the Nike app. And I mean, Nori would be putting in these miles, and then it was just like all like these industry people. He basically got industry people into running, and you know, like he went vegetarian for a month, and like it was just like we was all trying to get more miles than each other. Yeah, that is like a little known fact that I really feel like Noriega is responsible for like the urban run renewal. This is like maybe 2008, really? 2009, and Nori still puts in miles. Like people don't realize it.
Yeah,
but like
so Nori and Khaled are the only two people who could actively work out and still be fat. That's what you're telling me. They're the only two people on earth who can actively work out on a regular basis. Like this man is running distance and still goes to Drink Champs heavy. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, no. That's a little known fact. You can run drunk.
Wow.
It's one of the best experiences you'll ever have. I know, as smokers, you guys do a lot of things high. Yeah. Like, I've definitely drunk run a half.
I wish I was. What, ma'am? You have not drunk run a half marathon.
Yeah,
but you know what? You do get down. Like I've kicked it with Shay. Shay do get busy. Shay can get busy, so I can see you almost waking up the next morning like, oh shit, I gotta run a marathon and I'm still drunk. Let me go do this. I can see that.
Yeah, and you have to think that most people don't realize that most races on your bib, there's like little pull tabs and it's for a beer. Most races give you a beer when you finish for the carbs for recovery.
Oh, whoa.
Oh yeah, almost every race you get a beer at the end, free beer at the end.
Race, marathons in particular scare me. Like when I'm from Boston, I've seen the Boston Marathon.
That's elite running right there.
But you talk about some of the stuff you see heading to the finish line, like people be going to the bathrooms and just life be happening while you. I remember one year this girl menstruated, like she had and still won. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not stopping me. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be real. For
that's what I'm like. It's mental. If you can run at that point, I know a lot of my homeboys that they ran for the first time. They ran a marathon in Miami about 4 years ago, and all of them wore white shirts, came across the finish line, nipples just drenched. Their shirts was just drenched in blood, because running 26 miles and your shirt's chafing. Like it's like, well, so sorry for you.
Oh, okay, but so you get your little run on. That's dope. I see you now being a Nike model. If y'all follow her on Instagram, follow Shay M Lawson on Instagram. She's up in there being a Nike model, like a foot model and all that. I see you.
Comment.
No, there's a big comment on that.
It was a great experience. I just did an ad campaign with Foot Locker and Nike for the Pegasus 35.
Can we clap that? That's magic, man. Do that.
No, that just came out. The commercial actually highlighted our long run captain, who at one point he was 300 pounds. 300 pounds.
Man, he need to talk to Nori and Khaled.
Yeah, via running with us. I mean, he's a shadow of his former self. And so Nike, this is actually his second campaign with them, talking about his journey with movers and pacers and losing the weight. And it was cool. It was a lot of work.
So cool. My real question was, can we get sneakers? Like, me and her, we like free gifts.
I didn't even get free sneakers. No free sneakers. No free line. I didn't even get the shoes are hot though.
Yeah,
the shoes are great.
They were pink. Like, I know you a Cameron fan. They were pink.
Yes, I love Cameron. I love you. I love you.
Yeah, I have a whole theory about Cameron.
What is your theory about Cameron?
My theory about Cameron is, especially when I was in college and getting out of my few first years out of college, I was dating. And I remember I would ask a chick when I was dating her, have you ever dated or have you ever had sex with Cameron? Because if so,
that was your go-to?
No, because if so, I'm not dating you and I'm not having sex with you. Like I've heard him rap, and the way he raps and what he raps about is so explicit. I'm like, I don't want to be with nobody who's been with him.
That is wow. That is so unfair.
No,
I mean,
in the
think about everything that Chad talks about when you hit it from the back. You know what I mean?
Oh, you didn't. You wasn't here last week.
But that's what I'm saying. But Chinara is a cool ass person. You know what I mean?
You wasn't here last week. We spoke about that too. I said, I have a hard time time listening to Pimp C sometimes because when you when you listen to Pimp, it's like, golly, bro.
He's into hairy booties.
Yeah.
Like, he is obsessed.
He wants to see your hairy asshole.
That's his thing.
I don't
know.
But Cameron used to be doing everything like he getting head after playing basketball, and him and the whole Dipset, they running on some chick. I'm like, bro, I don't want to deal no chick you ever dealt with, dog. And when I used to work at
that's not who you need to look out for. I have heard horror stories about Talib Kweli like stealing people's girls. Like I
actually got a story about Talib Kweli I'll never tell, and I won't tell because that's my homie. But yo,
no,
Talib is that Talib.
It's the nice conscious guys. Common has probably did more nasty things than Cameron has because you like, oh, he's sweet, he woke, okay.
I could tell
my panties, my girl.
I could tell
where'd she come from?
I could tell the common story. I could tell the common story because at least the person who gave me this information, we ain't even cool no more. Mm-hmm. But Common, dead ass, when Common did the Spit Kicker tour, I had a friend of mine who had a friend who was messing with this chick who he was working backstage, and she told her one time about how Common came backstage and literally said these words, and I quote, "I'm tired of these raghead hoes, widows, and where the real bitches at? I'm tired of these raghead hoes."
That's what you need to look out for. It's the nice guys.
That happens.
It's not the Camerons you need to look out for.
No, it's
the quiet woke ones.
It's still the Camerons. Like I'm always gonna be worried about a Dipset affiliation when it comes to dating. Like I don't know, man. It's always gonna creep me out.
No, I love them. I'm glad they're back together. I'm glad they're going on tour. I got my whole Cameron outfit ready for the summer. I got my beach towel. I got the.
She got the dips. Yeah, she got merch. I'm there. Are they really gonna be
I got the bathing suit. I got the shower curtain. I got towels. I got the air freshener. I love you, Cameron, for real.
Damn. Don't say that too loud. You say Cameron's name 3 times, he appears.
He will appear.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
In the same breath, respect to Juju. I do hope y'all that's the only person. I hope they get back together.
Oh, I think Juju was really.
She's like a living chocolate drop. She is a living baby doll. I hope they get back together.
Cam shot so out of his range for that and hit his shot. That was amazing to me. But after they was done, I don't see why she would. The minute you left Cameron, you had to realize you was dating Cameron. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm done. The minute you left Cam, you had to realize, oh shit, I was dating Cameron.
But I don't think that Tahiri feel that way about Joe, and Joe treated her like trash.
Yeah, but they honestly on the same level. Okay, you know what? I don't want to feel like I'm talking about people. They honestly on the same level. Like remember when? No, I mean this on a good way. When the internet was really kind of first popping off, like that with vlogs and all that. That was Tahiri and Joe Budden. Like I remember,
people don't realize they was on Ustream. Yeah. They was the original Love and Hip Hop before
it was
a TV show. They was on Ustream.
Getting the comments that we say to the screen off. You know what I'm saying, that they can't read. They was getting them in real time because I was giving them. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the fuck off. You know what I'm saying?
Like, people don't remember, Joe's always ahead of trends. I think we talked about this before, that he was signed to Amalgam Digital, wherever they are now. Boston. He was the first person to have a digital album when nobody wanted it. He signed to Amalgam Digital.
Shout out to my man DJ Next and Amalgam Digital. That's Boston. That's BOSTON right there, for real. Being ahead of the game, to be honest with you, man. But yeah, he was signed to Amalgam. Joe's always been kind of that dude, though. But I would see Joe and Tahiri on the same level. Like Juju and Cam, when that first happened, I was like, so what was she, like a video vixen? Or like, where did you get her from? You know what I mean? Like, this has to be. Did you find her in Starlets? Really?
Yeah, because I think she's like Dominican. She's Dominican. I think they're from like the same neighborhoods.
Nah, I can believe it. You know, growing up, I told Sherelle this. Growing up in Boston, I never even dated a girl who's from America until I went to college. Yeah, like I've had a Panamanian, a Trinidadian, a Bahamian, Guatemalan.
You only speak English?
Yeah, exactly. For the longest, it wasn't even that. It's just like how you grow up. Like every other block was like some other culture. You know what I'm saying? So it just was what it was. I didn't actually see somebody who was born and raised in America until I went to John C. Smith, and that was crazy as hell.
That's a party school.
John C. Smith, you already know it. JCSU.
Wow. All right. So next.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. She joked. Shay came through the jokes. Golden Bulls for life. HBCUs all day.
I went to Hampton University, the real HU.
Oh, really? I got a story about Hampton University, man. I got a partner of mine used to be doing major dirt up in Hampton.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know the ratio is 16-1. There's 16 women for every one
check it.
man.
Please believe, when we was all applying for HBCUs out of college, that was one thing we all took into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the man to female ratio here? You know what I mean? We go to Howard, it's this and that. You go to anytime you type in AUC, you ask somebody and they be like, yo, bro, it's like 20-1. Next thing you know, everybody from up north flooded Atlanta. Every dude from up north flooded Atlanta. Bro, I'm never moving back.
Nah, it was a great experience. Time of my life.
I believe you, man. So, Shay, what are you working on next? You know, because we about to fade out of here. Like, what can we expect from you outside of being, you know, the lead attorney for CashColorCannabis and Urban Grow Media? Like, what else are you working on?
Of course, Chinara has everything cooking. We just renewed our relationship with Bake Nation, so continue products on that. If you have not tried the Sweet James Jones barbecue, definitely see that. You know, I work with Trap Karaoke, so
and shout out to Trap Karaoke. You saved them. You really saved them with the name thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's an intellectual property, you know. So if you've ever gotten a cease and desist, it was from me.
That's why I'm about to hire her, baby.
I'll hit you with it real quick. I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it rap karaoke, hip hop karaoke, but it's not trap karaoke. Don't try it. And so our fourth show comes on Beats. Can I say it? On Beats One Radio with Apple Music. We come on the last Wednesday of every month at the end of Ebro show. And so shout out to Jason. He is the owner of Trap Karaoke, and he is an amazing client. So that's really cool. I work with SK, the producer.
Really?
Just went platinum with Future Evolve, and has about 5 tracks on Trevor Jackson's new album out. Trevor, who is Superfly, the new Superfly.
You know what? Let me stop. Superfly, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's by X. Do you remember the video? Yeah, the director. You know, he's not Little anymore. He only goes by X now. He only goes by X.
I ran into some of the filming down in the West End. You know, I got a partner, one of my bud dudes, stay down there in the lofts, and we was kicking it one day, and we looked up, and Big Boy was sitting on one of the top of the lofts, like they was filming. So yeah,
that's super dope. Yeah. So that I'm working with a woman named Holly Murchison. She has this thing, it's called Tell Me About Yourself. It's a book. It's actually really dope. And a company called Orator Glory. She just did the next web conference. Ryan Leslie was out there in the Netherlands. So yeah, I got a bunch of stuff going on. People can always follow me online.
I cannot wait till when you adding all those things in, you also say CashColorCannabis. Like that we're gonna make this happen.
I'm just waiting.
We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna make this happen. I appreciate you coming through tonight, man, and helping us.
Thank you for having me. This has been in the works. What? I've been saying I was coming. I fell asleep.
Yeah, she did. Months. She actually emailed me one time and said, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, yo, I'm booked for the month. And she was like, are you serious? I'm like, dog.
I was like, I played myself. I blocked my blessing.
But I'm thankful that you came because you actually helped us end an amazing month of all women guests. And it kind of, I didn't plan it that way at all. To be honest with you, I'm not a panderer. I didn't plan it that way in any way, shape, or form. It just kind of fell in line that all the best qualified guests I felt for the month.
Oh, you know what I didn't mention? I'm sorry, I gotta mention it. And this is probably another episode for another day, but I'm sure if you follow me on social media, you saw that I represent Kitty Jones, who used to date R. Kelly. We just did the Today Show. She has a documentary coming out on Lifetime, and they also bought the rights to her book, which will now be a Lifetime movie.
I wish we'd have thought of this earlier.
Coming out later.
Because I would have loved to talk to you about Mute R. Kelly. I would have loved to talk to you about that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, it'll be another show for another day. But shout out to Kitty. And all the work that she's doing.
Because I always wonder about Mute R. Kelly, because when I hear people saying Mute R. Kelly meaning stop his music, and I'm like, this man wrote for like 1 billion other people. Like, how do you mute this man?
How do you, it's crazy because I was a huge R. Kelly fan, and to the point that I know when he wrote something, I can tell by the way people sing it. I can tell by the word choice, everything. And now, like, every time I'm like, skip, man, skip, like everything. Where I'm just like, all right,
Maxwell Fortunate, come on, you like, dang, I can't sing.
I guess I'm listening to classical today.
Celine Dion start playing, dang, I can't sing. Like, R. Kelly's that deep. Like, you wrote for Celine Dion's and stuff, man. Like, he's like a male Diane Warren.
Yeah, so I think that's like you know, I put that in a post one day that there's no taking away that he is a musical genius, that he has made music that has impacted a generation, and we need to reconcile as a people that somebody in the same breath who can be a musical genius can be a sexual predator who needs help.
Well, you talking about another episode. That's black people of color just having a conversation about what you just know happens in your life. You know what I'm saying?
That uncle you got to watch
Look,
the
I was
kids
about to
around.
say, we always joke about that. The uncle you can't watch around. You mean a molester? Like, get that out of your life. Like, don't joke about that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but that's what we do. So I know that's an episode for another day. I know we wrapping up,
yes,
but I didn't want to let the show go without mentioning her.
Well, thank you for coming through, Shay.
Thank you for having me.
And shining well in this beautiful light. Like, you should see her right now.
I was sweating.
Oh, girl, man, look, she's like easy breezy cover girl right now.
No.
Like, you see this? Well, I appreciate you coming through, man. We're gonna kick off June next week with my man Bronze. And after that, like I say, it's gonna be a slew of other bangers, man. I got my man Chris J coming through mid-year, and then we're gonna do our 100th episode with a special guest. I'm gonna let y'all know who that is, and we gonna party up that night, man. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Shay, again for coming through. Again, follow her on Instagram, follow her on all her platforms. Follow me because she's about to be my lawyer. Like I'm tired of talking to people. I'm just gonna let Shay talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Look, shout out. I got a production assistant, so I don't have to do a bunch of nonsense. I'm about to give me an assistant, so I don't have to check my email all the time and have to respond to people I know I don't want to respond to.
I need all that.
I'm trying to pop, man. Like, I'm trying to come to the understanding that I'm growing, and I need to grow with my growth.
Absolutely.
So that's Cash Color Cannabis. It's a high level of conversation on LivehiphopDaily.tv. Thank you, Shay.
Thank you.
We're going to take pictures.